Welcome back to In with Denoux.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Real quickly, I just wanted to bring Gio in real quick. We just finished filming part 2 of the creation story, and I wanted to get his thoughts. Jordan and I just finished up a 3-part series on Nehemiah, where, I had part 1 where I talked through a little bit of Ezra and the leaders of Ezra and Nehemiah, the books of Ezra and Nehemiah, and then we went through the book of Nehemiah as well. And Gio had a thought that he wanted to share about Nehemiah, and now that the series is complete, I wanted to make sure to get that thought so that we can plug it in as a short, just so you guys could get a little bit more knowledge out of the book of Nehemiah. So I'm going to pass it over to Gio to share that thought with us.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.
And I forgot about this until you asked me about it. So
I forgot about it too, till just now.
I'm turning to Nehemiah. I'm looking for Nehemiah now. Where are you, Nehemiah? Yeah, man, I got some thoughts. I specifically wanted to go with Nehemiah 8.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Nehemiah 8. So you guys went through the book of Nehemiah, right? Like in a nutshell, like you talked about how you talked about a lot of things. But
Yeah.
if you had to sum it up in a couple sentences, your thoughts on Nehemiah were
Yeah.
what?
So the first part, so the preview, I kind of just went through the 3 leaders. So I went through Zerubbabel, Ezra, Nehemiah, and kind of what they focused on rebuilding. So that like Zerubbabel rebuilt the temple, Ezra as a priest and a scribe kind of was trying to rebuild the hearts of the people, and then Nehemiah rebuilt the wall. And so it was this thought of the place of worship, the people who are worshiping, and then protecting that worship with the wall. And so we kind of I talked through that solo. And then we talked through the first part of Nehemiah where it's like the prayer and how Nehemiah is someone of thought. And he didn't just jump into things, he prayed. And even like after that long prayer in chapter 1, he goes to the king, right? And we talked about how God worked on the heart of the king and how people who don't even profess the name of God can still act on behalf of God. And how Nehemiah even has this little prayer right before he presents his request to the king. Then we kind of talked about the inspection of the wall, how he doesn't go in and just start gung-ho, right? Where he doesn't just start moving stones and inspiring the people. He took 3 nights to walk and inspect the wall, right? Then we talked about the opposition a little bit. And then in chapter 5, we kind of stopped and talked with a lot of things that are going on today, just about, people taking advantage of the poor, and how he kind of stops where he's still building the wall in chapter 5, right? But he stops and he makes sure to set the record straight that we cannot be exploiting people. He starts giving his own funds of his payment, right, towards people and helping other people. So there's this thought that like it's not simply structures that are being rebuilt, it's the people of God that are being built, the hearts of the people, the law being read, all these things. So yes, the wall is important, but it's how it's so much deeper. It's spiritual formation. When I talked about, when I kind of broke down the end of what is this book really about, it's not just about a wall, and it's not mainly about a wall. It's about spiritual formation. And then we did talk about how there's an uneasy ending, right? How everything feels like it's for naught at the end, where everyone starts to revert back. And we kind of talked through how this is kind of the story of Israel, right? Where there's the fall, then reformation, then fall, then reformation, and how the story is not done. So it ends uncomfortably, but it's just a part of God's story, and how it's just, this happens to end on a downturn. But again, the story moves forward where there will be reformation. So that's kind of like a quick and we did talk about how Ezra comes in and helps with like restoration, like in chapter 8, 9. So yeah, that's kind of a quick summary.
Yeah, I like that. I like that you said that it isn't about the wall or structures, but it's about the formation. And I think the heart of that is actually in what I wanted to talk about, which is in chapter 8, starting in verse 9 through 12. It says, "And Nehemiah, who was the governor, and Ezra the priest and the scribe, and the Levites who taught the people, said to all the people, 'This day is holy to the Lord your God. Do not mourn or weep,' for all the people wept as they heard the words of the law. Then he said to them, 'Go your way, eat the fat, and drink sweet wine, and send portions to anyone who has nothing ready, for this day is holy to our Lord. And do not be grieved, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. So the Levites calmed all the people, saying, Be quiet, for this day is holy. Do not be grieved. And all the people went their way to eat and drink and to send portions and make great rejoicing, because they had understood the words that were declared to them. In this scene, right, as they're all outside and they're reading the law and the people are coming and they're celebrating and they're weeping because the law is being brought, and the Levites and Nehemiah tell them, don't weep. And then he says this line, right? He's like, yo, like, this day is holy. You know, whatever, go eat, enjoy, take what you have and share what you have with others who don't have, like, party, rejoice. And then there's this line that we say all the time, that's on bumper stickers, that's in Bible quotes all over the world. I mean, it's everywhere. For the joy of the Lord is your strength. And that's the part that if we read it with English lullaby effect, if you will, we'll speed past it. We speed right past. Very profound message, I think, to highlight your point regarding Nehemiah's intentionality, right? He says, the joy of the Lord is your strength. And he says that in front of the wall.
Yes.
Now, why is that important? What does that even mean? Right? Like, the joy of the Lord is your strength. What? Joy that I have in God is my, like, what does that mean? And so I remember when I was reading through this not too long ago, I came across it and I was like, what does that even mean? And so I looked it up in Hebrew and I'm like, I want to glean. I want to understand. And the joy of the Lord, joy, we could keep that word the same, is your strength. The word that they use for strength is the same word that is used for stronghold, fortress, wall. So now Nehemiah is saying, it is the joy of the Lord that is your strength. That is your fortress. That is your stronghold. That is your protection. Not this. Because without this wall, I was still here. I was still with you guys. All these people were coming to try to stop you from building it. I was with you, as we said in the other podcast. I was your Ezer. I was your help, your military companion. I had you. Do not put stake or stock in this wall. For the joy of the Lord, that is your stronghold. That is your fortress. What a that profound to say that in front of their strength, their stronghold, their fortress. And so now I take that little passage that I hear all the time, and it's easy to say, well, the joy of the Lord is my strength. But no, let's use my situation. With or without my marriage, God is still romancing me. He's still my partner. He still loves me. As it is to say for a man, he is still my head. He's my husband. Right? Like, he is my protector. He's my provider. It doesn't matter if the walls are broken or they're up. It was never about either one. It was about me. And you lost sight of me. That's why the walls were broken. Keep your eyes fixed on me, because with or without these walls, with or without this stronghold, with or without this covenant that you have with your wife, I am in covenant with you. I have you. And I think the warning there is for us to not put stock in the gift, but focus on the gift giver. He is our stronghold. He is our fortress. He is the one who's going to protect us. This wall can come down and go up 500 more times. It doesn't matter. He is the firm thing that will not move. And whether or not I understand that is going to dictate how my life goes. If I put stock in the gift, then of course, anytime the gift falls or breaks or goes away or leaves me, I'm in shambles. And God's like, it is me and me alone. I'll give you good things. I will rescue you and I will protect you. And when I do those things, remember, it was me. Build on me. And all these other things, with or without me, they're going to come and go. This temple's going to come down, but I am your peace. I am your joy, right? Don't put stock in anything that I give you. Honor what I give you. Be good stewards of what I give you. But if you take what I give you and you put it above me and try to make it me and put it above my place, then naturally it's going to crumble. Not because I'm vindictive, but because you're not going to know how to steward it. And in not knowing how to steward what I give you, this is all going to crumble, which is why Jerusalem was taken advantage of again. It's not because God is just vindictive and you don't love me, I'm gonna break your walls. It's like you don't understand. I'm trying to show you, come through me and all else makes sense. Through
Yep.
me, through me, through me, can you filter and understand how to properly steward what I give you, how to properly build and how to properly take care of it. But if you go outside of me, you are destructive outside of me.
Mm.
So, in lieu of all this, don't weep, don't mourn, be happy and celebrate. And invite people in to celebrate. People who don't have, invite them into this party. Invite them and let's celebrate together the stronghold, the covenant, protector, the helper
Yeah.
that is God, and not just the wall. Because like you said, it was never about these physical structures. It was
That's
about
right.
the structures of our spirit and our standing with God. And he, at this point, I think is very crucial. He's telling them, I would argue, and I'm no scholar, this is just from my unscholarly, just from the Holy Spirit, if you will, and just my thoughts. That's the crux of the whole narrative right there.
Yes.
Do not weep. The joy of the Lord is your strength. It's the joy of the Lord that's your strength. Even though this whole book is about rebuilding the wall, even though this whole book is about building this stronghold and this fortress, I will give you that. I will give you that because I understand you want that. I gave you that to begin with.
Yep.
I want you to have that. But don't put more stock in that than you do me.
Yep.
Because it's
Yeah.
me who's going to be.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that, bro, because so a few things. So about 4 years ago, I was kind of in like a low point in my life. Not like there was just things going on that were tough. Like it wasn't like, I was having a hard time spiritually or anything like that. There was just things that I was just sad, and I was hurt. And I was actually, I say it was about 4 years ago because it was around Christmas time. And I was supposed to be preaching a sermon on joy.
Mm,
And so this passage, I love that it says like, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. And I think that there's this misconception that happiness and joy are the same thing. And although there's
that's right.
similarities between them, they're not the same, like not even much at
Mm-hmm.
all, in my opinion. And I think that it's really cool that this phrases this as for the joy of the Lord is your strength, because this isn't necessarily a happy time, right? Like they're
Right.
rebuilding the city. It's sad. Like it's cool. Like it's like inspiring and it's like an exciting time to like rebuild their city, but it's like there's opposition, the wall's not done, like there's or I guess the wall would be done in chapter 8, but
The wall was done at this point.
yeah, the wall was done at this point, but still it's like they're rebuilding so much that it's not just this like happy time, like really, like there's still opposition coming in from the outside. They just had this chapter of people being exploited, you know what I mean? It's not this time where they're like in the promised land and everything's going great, and
Yeah.
so I love that it says like the joy of the Lord is your strength, because it means that even in times that are hard or difficult or where you're not necessarily happy, like there's still joy in the Lord, right? Like no matter
That's right.
what, there's joy in the Lord. And I think that especially going into this holiday time, I've been praying a lot for, I've shared a couple times on the podcast, I'm going to this new church and there's these 6 women that I've met that we were at this event at the table and we happened to all sit together and we formed a group chat to shout out to them because some of them listen to the podcast. But it's just been cool to have this group chat with them and like put in prayer requests and check in with each other. And just it kind of reminded me that sometimes the holidays aren't happy and joyful for everyone.
Yeah.
There's family dynamics. If you've lost a
Yeah.
loved one, lots of times that's when you think about them a lot during the holiday season. When family is gathering, it's not always happy for family gatherings for everybody.
Yeah.
And so I think about that and I've been praying for that, is that no matter what those dynamics are, joy can be found in the Lord. And that whatever
Yeah.
that wall is for you, like for some people, like their family is a rock and a wall and something solid for them to go to. But
Mm,
sometimes it's before that. Some people's families, it's before the wall's rebuilt, right? It's just rubble and
mm,
everything's chaos and it's not happy. And so I think that there's so many like double and triple and quadruple meanings, like Gio was saying, is that it's not about this structure behind me as Nehemiah was speaking in front of the wall. It's about God and his strength and the stronghold that he brings to your life no matter what. Nobody can tear those
yeah.
walls down.
Yeah.
And so I love that thought. And I think that it's so needed during this time of the year. I mean, it's needed always, but especially in these times where I feel like maybe not 50-50, but there's a lot of people where this is a happy, joyous, great time. And so it's easy to be joyful or happy, right? But for some people, it's stressful and it's anxiety filled and it's sad and it's broken. And something else we
Yeah.
kind of talked about when we were breaking down Nehemiah is that this also talks to like this is also instructing them. It doesn't say it here, but it's instructing them to have godly sorrow, right? Like they're kind of like grieving because
Mm,
they're like they're kind of learning that they're in the wrong, right? Like they're hearing these teachings, they're like, we have been in the
mm,
wrong, and it's almost like it gets the vibe that they're having a pity party, right? When they're like, no, 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 no,
mm,
sure, like know that you're hurting God with your actions, but he wants you to be joyful in him and be your stronghold. So just repent. Like, and so that's what I tell people too, is that, you know, this isn't to have a pity party if you're learning like, man, like I'm not doing well or the things around me are falling apart. It's what can I do to be good with God and have joy in him, even if things aren't
mm.
happy, you know, quote unquote happy in my life kind of thing. So I just want to point that out too. And, you know, prayers for anyone that is going through that, that's having a, you know, holidays isn't necessarily a happy time for you, as we have a Thanksgiving, you know, coming up when you're listening to this, having just passed, but also Christmas coming up, you know, which is a stressful time. And I think lots of times we make it stressful, right? Like we put too much
Mm,
emphasis on food and gifts and, you know, money and all this stuff. But I'll just encourage you to find joy in the Lord and know that he is your stronghold. It's not about physical structures. It's not about, you know, your finances all the time. It's not about the presents and gifts that you get. It's about
yeah,
I can find joy in the Lord no matter what's going on in my life, whether that wall is in shambles or whether that wall's built completely. The joy and
yeah.
stronghold is in God. So I love that thought, man. I feel like that's such a great way just to, as we finish Nehemiah, just to kind of put an emphasis on the book of Nehemiah. So thank you for sharing that. I love that.
Thanks for having me, man. I
Of
appreciate it.
course. So cool. Well, this was a short little bonus episode for y'all. So I'll release this along with the creation story. So we love y'all. Thanks for joining us again, and we out.
Thanks for having me, man.